Well, folks, how are we feeling? Royals dropped the series opener against the visiting Boston Red Sox 9-5, starting off the work week on quite a downer. Let's talk about it, shall we? Welcome to the Royals recap. My name is Jacob Milham. I'm one half of the Royals Rundown podcast. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. If you're listening right now, that means that you missed a game thread. You missed a game recap up on royalsreview.com. So make sure you go amend that as soon as you get done listening to my voice. All right. This is, I don't know how to describe this game. This was a game that just felt like a gut punch. This was one of those days, not a whole lot went against the Red Sox. Not saying not a lot of things went against the Royals. The Royals had some stinkers tonight. They really did. We can sit here and talk about, some of the strikes and balls and some of that jazz. Yeah, nah. It's I was willing to talk about that in the sixth inning. Not now. Let's run through the pitching, because if you can't tell by 9 hits, the pitching tonight was not great. Brady Singer exited tonight with a 5 2/3 innings, so he was one out shy of that beloved 6th inning mark to qualify for a quality start. But unfortunately, did give up 4 earned runs when it was all said and done. 10 hits, 1 walk, and 6 strikeouts. I mean, just Red Sox were tagging him. They were putting the ball in play, and it was going their way. That happens. All right, you're not going to get any hits if you strike out. All right, as long as you put the ball in play, you have a chance to get a hit. The Red Sox were doing so, getting 10 of their team total 18 hits against the Royals starter tonight. I trusted seeing Angel Zerpa come out behind Singer, and you know what? He's got runners on. I trust that he can get this last out. Boy, was I wrong. Give up that hit to Duran. Those 2 runners come around and score. Those are charged to Singer. It's all right, well, Zerpa can still get out of this. Nah. He only recorded 1 out, but in total gave up 5 hits, 4 of his own earned runs, and 2 of those came off of a home run. So there went that. He had an awful night. He really, really did. Angel Zerpa has been one of the more reliable arms across the entire season. He's had a rough stretch in the past few games, I will say. There's no denying that. But overall, the entire season, he has been good. Tonight, he was far, far from good. Chris Stratton came in behind him, pitched 2 innings, got 3 hits, 1 earned run, a walk, and a couple strikeouts. So, I mean, what are you going to do? By the time Stratton came in, Royals really didn't have much of a fighting chance in this game. Just in mop-up duty. And then James MacArthur was a surprise guy to come out in the top of the 9th inning, but he did his job at least. 1 inning, no hits, no runs, also no strikeouts. He really got helped out by that diving play by Adam Frazier out in left field. All in all, Singer earns the loss on the night, falling to 8-7 in 2024. This was such a this was a conga line of sorts from the Red Sox lineup. I mean, come on. You're going to tell me that they had their 3rd most hits as a team this season, and they had 10 different players have at least 1 hit, with 6 multi-hit efforts and a 4-hit game. Just they were slapping the ball around the field, and it was going their way. The lefties were getting to Singer early on. They were depositing a lot of balls out there in shallow right field, and that's kind of what we were expecting. Unfortunately, I just don't think we were expecting it to the degree that it showed up. And then after a while, it became, well, that left field line is home for the Boston batters. They put quite a few balls in play down that left field line. In all seriousness, congrats to Alex Cora. He won his 500th game as a Red Sox manager, becoming just the fourth manager in franchise history to reach that milestone. So it's all in good competition, but congrats to Cora. That's a pretty cool milestone. Now let's talk about these batters, because I feel like a lot of the production came when their backs were against the wall, when the hole was too deep to dig out of. They made James Paxton look like a seasoned all-star contender, not a guy who was designated for assignment just a few weeks ago. All in all, Royals total 5 runs on 9 hits. They strike out 7 times as a team, only draw 2 walks. And, I mean, hey, Michael Garcia, good on you. You had a multi-hit game. Same with Michael Massey. He had a 2-bagger and then a 3-bagger. And then, of course, Vinny Pasquantino tagging his 16th home run on the year in the 8th inning. Good for his 80th RBI on the year. Just kind of fell on deaf eyes watching it. Too little, too late, if you will. When Singer left the game, it was 2-2. Okay, he didn't get a ton of run support while he was in. And frankly, the runs that they did put on the board were fairly lucky. But James Paxton got that run support when he left the game in the 7th, or excuse me, after the 6th. His team was up 8-2. Right, that's how quick this game turned. It happens. That's baseball. That's why we play the game. Now the Royals have lost 2 of their last 3 games. They still hold a 1.5 game lead over Boston for that final wild card spot. And they are still sitting at 63-51. So, in the grand scheme of things, this is not the end of the world. This is not the end of the playoff hopes. But, dang, this was a rough game to watch at times. It really, really was. Just the Royals' ineptitude against Paxton was very frustrating. It really was. If you look at Paxton's splits, he struggles against batters in the first time in the lineup, or first time through the lineup, and then the third time through the lineup. He locks him down in the second. I don't know. I don't get it. It's probably because he didn't make it through the first time a lot of the times during his Dodgers tenure. But they didn't do much against him the first time through. They scored 1 in the bottom of the 3rd. They scored 1 in the bottom of the 4th. They didn't score again until the bottom of the 7th. There was a lot to be left desired by this lineup against James Paxton. And when you don't produce against a guy, when you have the starting pitching matchup that you want, the edge, if you will, it's going to be a tough night. And that's what it is. And unfortunately, it was a longer tough game. Thankfully, the pitch clock only kept this game to 2 hours and 46 minutes. Great attendance, I will say. More than 20,000 in attendance in Kauffman Stadium to start off the work week. Yeah, not a ton of bright spots. Hunter Renfroe's 10-game hit streak ended. His career best 17-game on-base streak ended as well. We talked about Massey. We talked about Pasquantino. Like, those are really the only bright spots from this team. I'll run down the entire lineup if you want me to. Michael Garcia, like I said, 2 hits in 5 ABs. Bobby Witt Jr. did have a hit, did have an RBI in his 4 trips. Vinny Pasquantino had that 1 home run that we talked about, but also struck out twice. Salvador Perez did have a hit tonight and 1 strikeout to his name. Hunter Renfroe, no hits, no walks. Michael Massey, that double and the triple, good for 2 hits on the night. Freddie Fermin, serving as tonight's designated hitter, got a hit and an RBI, but did strike out twice. Garrett Hampson was hitless tonight and struck out. Adam Frazier pinch hit for him later on in the game. Frazier had 2 trips to the plate, 1 hit, 1 RBI, and 1 run of his own. And then Kyle Isbell was hitless tonight, but he did get on base with a walk and scored a run. And then Paul DeYoung pinch hit for him later on in the game, and in his solo trip, drew a walk. Nothing too bad from the bottom of the lineup. It was that heart of the lineup that just kind of left some stuff to be desired. All in all, I don't think anybody should be putting the blame of this loss on the bats. I really don't. They scored more than the average Bear. If the pitching would have held their side of the bargain up, they didn't need to be shut out. They didn't need to be stellar, but they just needed to be average. They weren't average tonight. They were bad overall. So, such is life. Congratulations also to Freddie Fermin for getting his first career stolen base. Did not have that on my bingo card, but I'm sure someone placed that bet somewhere and is going home with a little extra money in their pocket. I'm curious if Bally is going to get anyone up. Sometimes they struggle after losses. So I'm just going to get on out of here. If you want to listen to the post-game interviews, you can find those on the Royals Rundown podcast Twitter feed at Royal Rundown Pod on Twitter. I'll make sure to share those, or you can just follow myself or Jeremy on Twitter, and our links are down in the podcast description below. It's Monday night. Shower it off. Move on to the next game. I'm going to go to bed. I ain't going to shower it off because I just watched the game. So, from everyone here at the podcast, thank you so much for joining me this evening. And until next time, go Royals.